Welcome everybody. Today's video finds us over here in Ayutthaya. And what we're going to take a look at today is we're going to take a look at Wat Khae, I think is how you say it, Khae, or it's also the literal translation is the Temple of the Trumpet Tree. So anyway, this is an old early Ayutthaya era temple that was restored many times, mainly under the reign of King Ekhrasat in the 1600s. He had one of his favorite monks that actually stayed here at this temple that was given the rank of like the Supreme Patriarch. It was another name, but that was essentially his title. And anyway, we're going to look at this here. It's down in ruins. It was abandoned whenever Ayutthaya was sacked, but it has some really cool chetties, has the base of some other buildings and stuff like that. And we'll see what we see. And the area you're in is the old Lopburi River that went right here. It's since been rerouted. It goes a different route. And the elephant crawl and stuff like that, I believe is right over there on the other side of the old river. So this was an area that they did quite a bit of stuff. The elephant crawl is where they gathered up, they kind of pushed the elephants into like this big storage or the big holding pen, and then they would select like the war elephants and everything else. But what a cool area. And there's somebody over here standing in their boat fishing. All right, now the temple itself is up here, and it was fairly good size. You can see the trees that are growing here to give you a little bit of shade. And then there's some old boats that they have sitting out here for some reason. And I'm not sure what they're doing with all of these. I don't know if it's going to be like a learning center or what. And they have parking, and there's some people that are over here raking up the leaves. I don't know if they're going to use that for a fire starter or if they're just making merit. Yeah, so you can see the boat's just been pulled over here by the fence, and nature's going to take its course. That was probably an important boat at one time. Now this is a registered landmark. The Fine Arts Department came over here and restored it. The temple was abandoned and destroyed during the Burmese invasion in 1767. So we're coming at it from the back side. The main road is over there. So here would have been the perimeter wall. You can see a tree is growing right there. And this would have been the steps that would have brought you into a gate. And then there would have been several halls. You can see the bases of them right here. And then this would have led you into, looks like maybe a ordination hall right here. And the temple was built on the west side. So the Buddha image would have been facing to the east, and it would have also been facing towards the water. And then the style of that chetty over there is quite cool. I think that's Chiang Rai styling. We'll look at it here in a bit. Yeah, this would have been the ordination hall. So you can see just a little bit of what was remaining. So these would have been columns right here that would supported the roof. And then the Buddha image would have been sitting in there. And then you can see the little bases for the Buasima stones that would have marked the outside of the ordination hall. And then it would have had a shrine or something over there. It's hard to say what would have been in that one. And then the chetties up here. The chetties are fantastic. And they've put a little piece of the plaster work right here. So this would have been the plaster way up there on the top of the chetty. So that one there is a bell-shaped, a smaller bell. This one here's a larger Sri Lankan style bell. Then we have a building with a tree growing out of it, and then that chetty there, and another chetty over that way. And then a couple small little auxiliary chetties all around. And this building here, so the entrance would have been over there on the south. There would have been an entrance on the north also. You can see it would have had kind of similar styling. These would have been the support columns here. And then we have a walkway going over here. These were probably added by the Fine Arts Department when they came in and restored it. I bet you this wasn't here whenever this temple was in use. And over there is the Wehan. We'll look at it here in a sec. And you can see this tree is overgrown. Probably some small little tiny chetties that were here at one time. And then these are the tops of the chetty. And what's this doing here? So we have a piece of laterite stone sitting out here. And that tree has overgrown that. So they would have salvaged that from one of the other older temples that even predated this one. There was a Dewati settlement and then a Khmer outpost that was here in the old city of Ayutthaya. And they built with the laterite stones. Yeah, you can see the old temple wall. So here it says it was a rectangular wall, and then they've restored it. And whenever they did it, they made it into an unequal square. Kind of interesting. And then here's a small little building. Here's another entrance over here. It looks like they've wrapped this tree. We have another little shrine over that way also. So this is the shrine number 1, which is the Wehan. So it was 10.5 meters by 24.5 meters tall. The entrance was to the north, the main entrance, and they say this had 2-tier roof, and it is very similar to the Wehan that you see over at Wat Khrutharam, which is one of the most famous temples here in the city. And I've been to it many times. It's really a beautiful hall. And then check out how this tree, they've wrapped it and it's completely overgrown. That chetty, it's right there. Yeah, this is really cool. This was quite high here. You would have been able to see the styling around the base, which would have been the Ayutthaya era styling for sure. And this would have had the columns to support the weight of the roof. And this would have been the outer wall here. So this would have been like a little balcony, and there would have been an image up here on it. And then inside here, so you can see they would have had the plaster around it, and then you can see how they constructed it. Kind of cool how they carved the bricks down to fit them, to get square bricks or rectangular bricks into a round column. And this is what's left of the Buddha image here. So you can see the feet. So that would have been one, and you can see the hands right there. And this would have been a separate image. That would have been the legs and maybe like the body over there. And then just some pieces of the sandstone. And that would have been maybe like a knee right there. And this is really cool, the base of this chetty. So this would have had notches right there. So they would have had Buddha images sitting in each of those. And then there's the top of it. So it came down. I always wonder whenever these things fall off, if there was anybody around to hear it. And check out this chetty. So you can see the walkway around the outside also up there. Yeah, so you can see the little spirals that they do to make those. And then I have a small little chetty over here. That's another Sri Lankan bell. And this is the main road that goes along here. So it's pretty easy to get to this temple if you just come to the north of Ayutthaya. We have another one of the buildings. So this one here would have had a walkway, would have been a covered walkway. You can see the columns here, and then this would have been the building. And then that little chetty right there is fantastic also. See here, this would have been the steps in. Got a humongous termite mound right there. So they're calling this shrine number 2. And this would have been 11 meters wide by 37 meters long. And this would have been the entrance over here. And you can see all the covered walkway around. And then it would have had a smaller little room up there, or a raised platform, something here. And then up on this raised platform, So there would have been columns to hold the roof up. You can see the base right there. Looks like this would have just been a separate little room with a huge Buddha image. So the Buddha, you can see this is like the chest right here. You can see it was the brick core, and then they would have put the plaster on the outside of it. And it would have been hollow all the way in the middle. Or what they might have done, or probably would have been wood in there. Or either wood or some iron. That one's got a little hole in it also. That would have been kind of what they would have used to frame it. They would have used that to hold the arms and legs and everything onto it. Ah, interesting. Okay, let's go look at the chetties, and those will be the last things that we look at here. This is the first chetty across here. You can see the tree roots that have been growing across. You can see a little bit of the plaster work and the styling that it had. So it's got a square base, and it had a walkway across the bottom of the chetty. And then this is the bell Sri Lankan style. And it has that finale up there. So they say this actually was restored several times, and they put this bell over the top of an existing bell, which was a pretty common style and practice in the Ayutthaya era. You can see how much plaster is on here. I mean, there's that much. You can see they put brick to take up space in that plaster. And they've had to cut the tree back that was overtaking it. And then there would have been a couple of the smaller little chetties over there. And then this is the really interesting style one right here. This is what they're calling the principal stupa number 2. So they say this is the Lana style, and it was enlarged whenever they restored it the last time. They think it's modeled after the Wat Pratat Harirana Chapana Thai that's up in Lampung. It's one of the first class royal temples. And I've been to that. That's really fantastic. So they date it probably around 1457. And they think that there was Lana people that were settling in here due to the style of the chetty. So the Lana kingdom is Lamphun, Chiang Mai, all of that up in the north. Oh, this is a beautiful temple, or a beautiful chetty. And you can see where they enlarged it. So that's the new and then the old. Oh, that's really, really cool. So they just bricked right up to the old and redid it. And you can see this chetty here has been completely overgrown. Now check out how these trees grow in there. I mean, it's basically just fused into the bricks. So these cause them to collapse because the tree grows and then it sticks its roots in the cracks and then it enlarges, and you can see what it does to the bricks. So it gets them to where they're out of balance. So what can you do? If you come and cut the tree out, the tree is part of the chetty now, which causes problems also. All right, so we have 2 more little chetties to look at right here, and that's the top of it over here. So both of these chetties here are built on the same base, and they say that they are the same type of bell-shaped chetty that you would see at Wat Prasi Sampet, which is the old temple right there on the royal palace. That's probably the most beautiful temple ruin here in Ayutthaya. So this is really cool, and they say that they were enlarged over the years, and the top of it fell over here, and you can see how it was constructed. They have the brick, and then they have the plaster work, and they just do the different layers. So they just wrap this all the way around. It just goes up, and then it makes a loop, and it just keeps on going up to the top of the little spire. And it was hollow to save the building materials, plus make it lighter to where it wouldn't be as hard to reinforce the base. So that's the whole temple. This is really, really a cool site. And you can see I'm the only one except for the people that were raking up leaves out here enjoying this today. So I'm a lucky guy to be able to come out here and traipse around here in all these temple ruins. Well, that'll finish up our video over here at Wat Khae, or the Temple of the Trumpet Tree. This is a nice temple ruin. This is kind of one that most people don't know about, which is a shame because it's really nice, and especially like that. Probably the highlight I would say would be that Lana style chetty that's right there, kind of in the middle, up in the front. It's really something that's different that you don't normally see over here. So hopefully you've enjoyed the video of this early Ayutthaya era temple. If you did, smash the like button. That all helps me. Subscribe if you're new here. You get to see more stuff like this. I show you just things that interest me, and this is interesting today, so I came over here to take a look at it. And leave me a comment if you've been here, have any questions, or if you know more about it than I do. You know, there's probably a whole lot more written in Thai. So one of my Thai viewers, if you know more about it, let me know also in a comment down below. I'd like to know more. So that way, whenever I come back and look at it again in a couple years, I can talk about that. So if you know more, leave me a comment. And until next time, from over here in Ayutthaya, remember, life is a journey. So until next time, enjoy.